Hello again. Yeah, so in my series of AWS security services, the next on my bucket list is AWS CloudTrail. This is very popular, for everyone that works within this environment. Something that we always, is our go-to guy when it comes to when you want to see who does what. So track user activities and API usage on AWS and in hybrid and multi-cloud environment. So that is what it does. It's like auditor that record, everything you do, so that tomorrow we'll be able to say, okay, who does this or who did this, and we say, okay, this is the person. So once again, my name is John Kayode Abusi, and my job sits at the intersection of software and product security engineering and architecture. Sorry. So we want to look at CloudTrail, AWS CloudTrail. It's an auditing, compliance, and governance service. If AWS Security Lake is the warehouse where log are stored, CloudTrail is the primary security camera, providing the raw footage. So if you look at that, I just finished explaining security lake, and now we have CloudTrail. So if the lake is the warehouse where the information is stored, then CloudTrail is like a camera that capture, the footprint, the information, the everything that we eventually end up in the warehouse. So its job is simple but critical. Record every single action taken in AWS account. Whenever a user, an AWS service, or an automated script performs an action, CloudTrail log it as an event. This allows you to answer who made this API call, when did they do it, from what IP address, and did it succeed? So these are the things, or these are the events that CloudTrail kind of capture. So we have how it works here. Almost every action in AWS is an API call under the hood. Yes, whether you click a button in the web console, or you run a command using your AWS CLI, or you deploy an infrastructure through Terraform, everything is an API call, and every CloudTrail event capture the identical core structure metadata. Yes, and that is very important. Number one metadata that it does capture is principal, who does what, the IAM user, the role, the AWS services that initiated that request. Number two is when, timestamp. The timestamp is there. When was it done? Action. What exactly was done? The operation that was performed, maybe by API, maybe by account, maybe by whatever it is, or an instance. Then the source IP address, where the IP address requested, the origin of the IP address, where is it from? Where does it originate from? Then the parameter response, the precise request configuration, and whether AWS, allowed or denied it. So these are the core structural metadata that CloudTrail payload normally carries. Who, when, what, where, and response. So let's look at the core capabilities. So one is a continuous multi-account API login and event capture. I've explained that. It has the capability of capturing API calls. And this is done across multiple AWS accounts. That shows that a CloudTrail can monitor all your AWS accounts and put every cause and event, in a place for you. And then standardized JSON schema event payload. So it normalizes every recorded API action into a structured cryptographic JSON event payload. Like I said, it's a standard. It's normalized those captured events, those data, into a standard format that can be used even outside of AWS environment. Cryptographic log integrity validation. The other thing, capability, is that it delivers tamper detection security through log file integrity validation. That shows that it provides a validation, a tamper-proof mechanism that doesn't allow anyone to tamper or to mess around with the log. So that's so that it can be trusted. Then comprehensive CloudTrail Lake Forensic Repository. Feature CloudTrail Lake, a managed immutable security data lake architecture. It aggregates and store analyze events natively utilizing built-in SQL query engine that retain log partitions for up to 7 years upward. Now, one of the things here, the thing here is that it makes use of CloudTrail Lake. That shows that it has the ability to keep data or events, for almost 7 years, so that is another capability. So if you look at, so when you are deploying CloudTrail and Lake, you should check very well to see how they complement each other when it comes to retention policy or retention of data. Business problems. Post-incident blame and attribution blind spot is eliminated. When there is an incident in your AWS environment, you have access or visibility into what happened, when and by whom. So there is no blame game here. You can easily find out who. There's no denial. So that is what we call immutable. And point in time regulatory compliance, that is another business problem that I solved. The other problem is that when there is need for some compliance obligations, you can use this particular tool to say, okay, for instance, you can export CloudTrail, for 6 months, maybe for 3 months, as an evidence, that you capture everything that is going on within your workload environment. Complex data pipeline overhead for multiple account log aggregation. Another problem that is solved is the immense engineering cost and vulnerability of building custom script to pull out log from individual account. If there is no solutions like this, that shows that engineering team or security team have to build automations and script that will pull information from different systems, and that will be a lot. But with this solution, then that problem is solved. So if you are looking at incident, a streamlined incident, security incident management, if you are looking at some security regulatory requirement, if you are looking at some multi-account log aggregation functionality in your environment, you can. This is a very good tool to take advantage of. Yeah. So that is that. So for best practices, production best practices, make organization trail via landing zone governance. Deploy CloudTrail centrally using organizational trail initiated from the AWS organization. So if you want to do this in a production environment, the best practice is for you to get this enabled and deployed at the AWS organization level. By doing that, you are bringing all other accounts and all you under the umbrella of one instance of these two. That shows that you deploy it once, it monitors all existing and future provisioned AWS accounts. Log repository isolation and minimal list privilege. So enforce strict architectural segregation by writing all CloudTrail log payload directly to a dedicated S3 log archive bucket located in a completely isolated independent AWS. So for instance, if let's look at this architectural design, you have these two in one AWS account, and you have maybe another AWS account that is keeping some other security toolings. So now what does that mean? It means that you are isolating, you know the importance of CloudTrail and how it should not be tampered with, to be tamper-proof. Then because you don't want everybody to have access to that account, you isolate the AWS account that hosts your CloudTrail account and from even some other AWS security services. So event-driven SecOps, event-driven SecOps alert and real-time remediation. Integrate your audit tray directly into real-time response loop. Stream live severity CloudTrail events. Stop logging, delete tray, or authorized root credentials login directly into Eventbridge. What does that mean? It means that any activities that you find in your cloud environment that you find to be critical and severe, you should integrate that with your Eventbridge so that there will be a corresponding action when such happens. For instance, if there is anybody that is using your root account, AWS root account to log in, that should be something that you want a real-time response from to. And it could be like you send an account to, you send an alert to Slack or whatever it is, but it should have, this allows you to integrate real-time response, to some of the activities that you consider critical in the CloudTrail environment. So S3 object lock and long-time lifecycle tiering. This is another thing that we can look at here. You see, when you use anything that has to do with logging, that has to do with event, retention and stuff like that, ultimately they are using S3 bucket. And S3 bucket has some level of storage tiers. Like we have some that are glacier deep, archive. It means that we have different layers of S3 buckets. Some you can put data in it and you have access to it immediately. So you want to put data that are very volatile, that you use constantly. But if there is any data that is historical, that you don't need often, then you can set those data to go into archived, version of that S3 bucket. Now, why are you doing this? Is to make sure that you cut costs. You don't spend unnecessarily. So for events and logs that are just sitting down for a very long time, they are not queried often, you can spend less in keeping them. But for events that you need to constantly look into, you can put them in a more volatile section of the tier of the S3 bucket, and you pay more for that. So that is the whole idea about the what do I call it? The storage tier that comes with object lock and long-term lifecycle tiering when you are using a CloudTrail. So these are the business problems, these are the production best practices that you look at. The long-term lifecycle tiering, the event-driven SecOps alerts and remediation, that follows. Then the log repository isolation, isolating the account where you have your CloudTrail. The organizational tray via landing zone governance. These are the business problems that is solved. And thank you. I hope this helped. And thank you again for looking into this. So for the hands-on, we do a hands-on and link the video separately to the